listen.
Never in my life associated the word boring with baseball.
We know what's up.
Me? Yeah. Famous? Yeah.
And I'm like giddy over there smiling like, we're about to win this shit.
Did everyone give you crap? Give me a good host story.
I'm not picking it up.
We both love the game.
We talk about it every day.
Getting on baseball.
Having some popcorn, you're fooling around your phone.
I'd have to wait in line for 3 hours.
Hang on, because it's about to be a wild ride.
And welcome to another edition of West Coast Bias. My name's Alonso Sarinana. I am your host here. And today we're joined by a guy that has elite knowledge about the NFL, the Dodgers, the Cubs, the Patriots, all sorts of sports stuff. And so I'm stoked that we have him on right before the Super Bowl to also chat a little shop on football, but also to talk about the Chicago Cubs because they've done a couple things this offseason. And so we got to chat about those guys. But first and foremost, Marquee Sports Network's marquee anchor, if you will, Cole Wright. Cole, how you doing, my guy?
I'm doing excellent, Alonzo. Thanks for having me on, man. I appreciate that. I didn't know I was an expert on the NFL, the Dodgers, the Cubs. I mean, I feel like that's just another feather in the cap. I appreciate that, man.
Hey,
look forward to chatting.
Listen, when we talk shop from time to time, and you are an expert, and what I like about you is you don't act like you are, and I'm here for that.
Thank you, man. I mean, I'm just a guy who grew up playing baseball, watching baseball, loving baseball, and now I'm lucky enough to where I get to be the steward of Chicago Cubs baseball. The fact that every single game essentially starts and ends with me, like the 13-year-old version of me would be over the moon, man. It's still pretty nuts, and I still feel that's a huge responsibility, and I never take it lightly, man.
Hell yeah. Well, let's start with this. Super Bowl this weekend. The Pates, the Seahawks, just like everyone wrote it up, right? At the beginning of the season, this is what everyone said, right? It's an interesting matchup. Defensively, they're both really good defensive teams. Offensively, you kind of have to give the edge to the Seahawks with some guy named Jackson Smith and Jigba. Yeah. That's just a monster, and it's gonna be a rock fight. I think. What do you think's gonna happen for the big game on Sunday?
I think we were just talking before we jumped on. I think it's going to be low scoring. I think I'm going 21-17. If I have to dip into an actual score, and I'm going Patriots. And the only reason I'm going Patriots is because Mike Vrabel. I feel like he's going to be that X factor. I mean, he's a world champion in his own right. He's been there before. I feel like the fact that Tennessee got rid of the wrong dude, and now look what he's doing. I mean, they have to be sitting there like it's like you break up with your girlfriend, and then you watch, and she goes and wins prom queen, homecoming queen, is a freshman of the year, whatever college she goes to. It's like, oh my goodness, what is going on with Mike Vrabel? But you always knew that he had that in him. I mean, you just look at his receiving numbers. Obviously, a defensive player, but I mean, the best receiver in the history of the National Football League. What is it? Altogether, playoffs included, 11 targets, 11 receptions, 11 touchdowns. So, a dude with a track record like that, and there's so much more to the game that's going on. Like Seattle, not to disparage anything about them, but their defense, like you said, I mean, they're world beaters, man. They're going to give Drake May a serious problem, but I just think the game planning from a New England perspective, I feel like they'll be there. And the fact that Mike Vrabel has been there as a player before, that's gonna be big. I feel like that there's more than meets the eye to that. If you've been there, you know how to tell the guys, all right, don't go to this party. Don't go to that party. Even though it is 4 days before, you're going to be trying to talk to people. Your voice is going to be cached. It's not going to be good for your overall health. I feel like he's going to be able to put some parameters in place. And not to say Mike McDonald won't be able to, but he doesn't have the exact same experience. Experience matters.
No, and to your point, I think the Vrabel factor, is being overlooked a little bit. And I'm sure our Boston area fans, since we got a lot of WEEI people that listen to these shows, are going to love the fact that you're going Pates. But
the sports hub too.
Oh yeah. But I think to your point, the Vrabel thing, I think, is being overlooked. And I think that's the X factor, for lack of a better term, because it's one thing when you talk about like postseason experience, right? People talk about it in baseball and in all of the sports, right? But in football, it's one of those things where the lights absolutely get brighter because it's the biggest game.
There's no series. It's one game. You get 4 quarters, man. 60 minutes or nothing.
And that's it. There's no, aside from if they end up in a tie and they got to play overtime, That's it. Like there's nothing else. And so that's one of the things I think that gets overlooked, because Vrabel's culture is for real. And to your point, I think Tennessee did prematurely move on from that guy. But what do I know? I just loosely enjoy football from time to time. I don't really know it that much.
And the funny thing about it is I know things didn't work out necessarily for Gerard Mayo, but one thing that the Patriots want to continue to do is put their dudes in place. I mean, I worked in Boston when Gerard Mayo got drafted, so and for Mike Vrabel to be there, I feel like there's always going to be that common thread with the New England Patriots. Former players, they like to bring those guys back in the fold, whether it's just, on game days, during the offseason, or whatever it may be. But I think Mike Vrabel is going to be that X factor. He's going to be that constant that's going to allow these New England Patriots to go and get that W.
You heard it here first, 21-17 Patriots from Cole Wright.
On FanDuel, 3 years ago, I picked more underdog winners than anybody in the world that had their bets published. So
I see.
Shout out my guy, Andrew Filipponi from Pittsburgh. He's the one who actually brought those numbers to my attention. He's like, dude, you've been killing on these underdogs this year. I'm like, of course I have been. So
see, I knew at some point you were gonna let the facade go down a little bit to let everybody know that you are that guy, and I respect that, Cole. I respect that.
Thank you.
Well, moving ahead, looking at your Cubs, the Cubs had a really good 2025 campaign. All things considered, it started all the way back in March 18th of 2025 against the Los Angeles Dodgers in Japan. Yeah. And then it ended with a victory against the Cardinals there in September going into the postseason. They won a postseason series, first postseason appearance in a few seasons. They fought, tooth and nail with the gritty Brewers. That was a great series. And the offseason kind of started. And I'll be honest, I was a little surprised as to how aggressive the Cubs were in the offseason. They obviously, the Dodgers signed Kyle Tucker. I think it was a foregone conclusion that he wasn't going to stay there. I think that's fair. And candidly, he had just been acquired not too long before. There wasn't really I don't know if relationship's the right word, but speaking of Boston, they went out and got some guy from the Red Sox named Alex Bregman to fill a void. They go out and acquire Edward Cabrera from the Marlins. Like they've been aggressive and
so Maton's spin rate. I mean, these guys are going to keep you out front and off balance all day long. So I feel like they're definitely filling in the cracks and the holes. And you make mention of Boston and Alex Bregman. Like, how big of the ball getting dropped scenario was that? Now it's some people can say it's kind of similar to Kyle Tucker, but it's really not, because the Cubs didn't get rid of a mainstay of their organization to bring Kyle Tucker in. I mean, that was Isaac Paredes, that was Cam Smith. Cam Smith could have been a building block for the future, potentially. But the Red Sox, I mean, they went around the corner and went around the block to get next door to bring Alex Bregman in. And then Rafael Devers, okay, you can go play first or you can DH. It's like, he's your best player. Like, why would you do that to your best player and alienate your best player? So that's just a situation that the Boston Red Sox brought upon themselves. Like, when all these people were saying, like, Rafael Devers needs to go play first base and he needs to do what he needs to do, Buster Olney came on, if I'm not mistaken. I'm pretty sure it was either Buster Olney or Tim Kirkjian. And much respect for both of those gentlemen and everything that they do. But he said, this is the Boston Red Sox fault. Like, you did this. Like, imagine if you're a partner in your law firm and then you're one of the highest seating lawyers in that law firm, and then someone brings in another fantastic lawyer to take your place. I'm like, are you going to be happy about that? No, not anybody in any job is going to be happy about that. Whether you work at the United States Post Office, whether you play third base for the Boston Red Sox, whether you're in Congress, it doesn't matter. No one is going to feel comfortable about that situation. So for Alex Bregman to now fall into the Cubs' lap, I mean, that was perfect, because you look at last year's offseason pursuit of Alex Bregman didn't work out in their favor. Now for this season, for everything to be bolstered with Edward Cabrera, with Phil Maton, with a bunch of small auxiliary moves that have been filled in, this is a team that right now, I mean, that you saw them on, I don't know if was it MLB.com, where they had the Cubs as the number 2 favorite team in all Major League Baseball this year behind the Dodgers. And I mean, when you're looking at a team that's paying guys $73 trillion for one season, it's not a bad place to be in second, because baseball's a funny game. Things can go any way. And the Dodgers, they found that out. And so did the Blue Jays during the World Series. But, I mean, did the Dodgers win because they have really good players? Yes. But baseball took over. And I mean, you could try it a million different times, and that ball is not sticking in the bottom of that fence. You know, Miguel Rojas is not hitting a home run like that. He's not going to make an off-balance throw like that. Will Smith's spike is not going to come off home plate and then get back down in the nick of time. That's baseball. So you got to go out there and play 162 games for a reason. And I think that this 162 season marathon for the Cubs is going to be a really fun one.
And listen, and I think the Cubs last year had a quietly very good season, right? They had one of the best bullpens in baseball. You know, I think it's like 10th or 11th is kind of where they ended up. And that's a great spot to be in as you build, right? They gave an opportunity to a lot of the younger guys. They've also quietly gone out and gotten dudes like Dansby Swanson, right? I know that was a big pursuit, but the reason I say quietly is that's a name that you don't necessarily hear kind of day in, day out around the game per se, but that dude balls. Like, that dude can play. And then you throw in now that they've gone out and gotten Edward Cabrera, who a lot of folks, unless you follow the game religiously, you're not going to necessarily know who that guy is, but you're going to know who that guy is. Like, that guy is absolutely a problem. And they've also gone out and added more bullpen additions. So they're kind of going about this right. And so the reason I'm phrasing this is this fan base is very rabid. Like, anyone that goes to Chicago and knows anything about the fan bases there, White Sox, Cubs, Bears, Blackhawks, Chicago FC, like everything, it's a thing. It's everything goes into it. How has the fan base reacted to all of this stuff? Because for the longest time we heard that the Ricketts family doesn't want to spend, they don't want to go out and get these guys, so on and so forth. They're making moves and they're spending money. Alex Bregman is a 5-year, $175 million player. That's a move for the Cubs.
Absolutely. And, word on the street is that the Cubs might not be done. Zach Gallen's still out there in free agency. I know, an ideal destination for him has been Chicago. So if he falls right into the Cubs' lap, I mean, look at that staff. That'd be a pretty dirty starting staff if you take a look at it. I mean, Justin Steele, if he comes back 100% healthy, you got Cade Horton, Jamison Tyone, Edward Cabrera. I mean, this is a Shota Imanaga. This is a team that is going to be a problem for opposing hitters. So if you want to dig in the batter's box and think you're going to get an easy at bat, it's not going to happen when you come to the north side of Chicago. So I just think that all the little things that maybe were some inefficiencies a season ago, they've gotten a little bit better at some of those small spots. And it's the little things. Being able to do all the little things makes it that much easier to do those big things. And winning the division, is that one big thing that the Cubs want to cross off their list? Absolutely. Like, you don't want to look at the Milwaukee Brewers and think to yourselves, okay, even though they got a first round bye, we won more playoff games than them. I mean, for them to get smoked out like that after waving the L flag and not, I mean, there hasn't been a postseason win in Wisconsin since they flew that L flag. But there's always the Bucks. So, we'll see what happens. But I just think that, the one guy that's going to be sorely missed, it's Brad Keller, man. Brad Keller was an absolute dog all season long. He's now in the Cincinnati Reds. And, I mean, we're going to see him towards the end of games against Cincinnati. And hopefully we don't see him because there's a nice little lead that's been built up. And, hopefully we don't see Eugenio Suarez hitting tanks because that's another one, man. That's crazy. This dude went for, I mean, in the grand scheme of things, I mean, that's like a Dollar Tree price. I mean, this dude hit tanks last season. He's got a lot of home runs in his career, man. Like, he's gone over 30 multiple times. And for him to be under $20 million on a one-year deal is nuts.
Well, and then you throw in, another guy that veteran but started on the Lestrum Pomeranz. You lose him to the Angels. You lose Michael Soroka to the Diamondbacks. Yeah. Ryan Presley retired. Kit Ridge to the Baltimore Orioles. Baltimore Orioles have also had themselves an off season, right? Yeah. And then, like you said, Brad Keller to the Phillies, stays in the division or in the league, but not in the division. Thankfully for you guys.
Is Brad Keller Phillies or Reds?
I recall Phillies. I could have sworn Phillies.
Oh, all right. Maybe that was my misspeak. I'm double checking. Continue.
Yeah, let me double check myself. But either way, it's one of those where they've gone out and quietly acquired dudes that That they're not the six.
Why did I think it was the Reds? Maybe they're both red
But
teams. That played
I'm colorblind, so they all look the same to me.
Yeah.
And I mean, and it's not a crazy deal either. I think it was 2 years, 23, 22 million, something like that. So I mean, they got themselves a guy for something there. But again, going back to what the Cubs have done quietly though, is they added Phil Maton, like you said. That Hunter Harvey, I think, is going to be a quiet, really good move for that bullpen. Where
he's going to be this year's Brad Keller.
Yes,
essentially what you're going to get. Yeah.
Yes, and from there you go from like that 10th, 11th spot to middle of the top 10 in the league, and that's a great spot to be in because that's going to make them a problem. But I think the thing that the Cubs have done well quietly is Nico Horner, right? Getting that guy up, second baseman. You got Tyler Austin. They went out and got Michael Busch a couple of years ago. Dansby Swanson, the form, like that's a great infield. That's a great nucleus of an infield. But they're aside from Bregman and Swanson, pretty young. It's a pretty young nucleus of dudes where they're incorporating these younger guys, and then you still have the veteran, the formidable Ian Happ out in the outfield, right? You got Peter Crow Armstrong, you got Suzuki. That's a great all in top to bottom, offensively and defensively. That's a great just situation that's going on there. That if I'm Cub fan, I'm stoked about that.
Yeah, it could be one of the best defenses in all of baseball. I mean, when you look at it, Bregman, he's won a Gold Glove. Dansby, he's won multiple. Nico, he's won multiple. Michael Busch wasn't a finalist this year, but I feel like he kind of got jobbed. He made tons of plays, man. His defense every single game got better and better with every single ball that was hit to him. Matt Shaw is going to be kind of the odd man out with Alex Bregman coming to town. But he's going to be that rover. He's going to be that rotational guy who can go play outfield. And, I mean, he was a Gold Glove finalist last year in his rookie campaign after starting out the year pretty slow, came on the backside with a whole lot of power, made a whole lot of plays. I mean, the Cubs wouldn't have had the season they had last year if it weren't for Matt Shaw. And that's full disclosure. The dude made play after play at third base, and he was an absolute dog. So when you take a look at, 3 Gold Glovers in the infield, one guy on the cusp of one in Michael Busch. Ian Happ is the most decorated defensive outfielder in the history of the Cubs. He's got 4 Gold Gloves. Pete has one. He should have won Platinum Glove. I don't know how Fernando Tatis Jr. won Platinum Glove over Pete because Pete had more 5-star catches than most teams. But we're not going to get into that. And then Seiya Suzuki, like I said, he won 5 Golden Gloves in Japan. Now his defense has been questionable in years past, but last year in the second half, after I think he knew that okay, Kyle Tucker. Is he going to stay here? What's the deal with him? He went out there and played a different brand of defense, man. There was a throw, and I've made reference to this throw a few times. I don't even know what game it was in, but I just remember the zip he put on it and the way he put it right in the dude's chest. Didn't throw the runner out, but it was, okay, I have this arm. You're not going to run on me. My defense is not just pedestrian. I'm going to go out here and get after it. And he showed in the second half. So I have no qualms with Seiya Suzuki playing right field and playing it solid all season.
Well, and then Carson Kelly, the catcher, more than likely your starter. But, I mean, even your farm is better than where it was a couple of years ago. And that, I think, is commendable by what the Cubs are doing because, again, all we had heard kind of if you're not in Chicago, if you're not on the north side or whatever, is that the Cubs aren't spending. They're not going out and getting guys. And quietly, they got Moises Ballesteros, right? The big time catching prospect in the system. They've gone out and made all these moves. And so has the tune of the fan base changed any with kind of what's going on? Or is it still one of those, like, let's wait and see, just kind of given what it is? Because let's be frank too, that fan base expectations are always sky high. Sure.
I feel like fans are ripe with optimism right now, man. We just got done doing Cubs convention. I mean, it's like nothing else in all Major League Baseball. People come to the Sheraton Grand Hotel in the dead of winter. I mean, it was freezing cold 3 weekends ago, and people were out in full force, man. I mean, it was everyone that was there in 2017 said this was just like 2017. We obviously know what happened in 2016. So everyone wanted to come out and get a bite of the apple from those Cubs from that 2016 squad. And that made a lot of sense because it was the 10-year reunion. So all the guys, not everyone, Chris Bryant wasn't there. Javi Baez wasn't there. There were players that were not there, but Anthony Rizzo was there. Jason Haber was there. Dexter Fowler was there. John Lester was there. John Lester and Jody Davis went to the Cubs Hall of Fame. So I think right now that the optimism is high. I think with Alex Bregman coming out, and I think it's the way that Alex Bregman has wrapped himself around Cubs culture. Like, he played on a Cubs team when he was a kid. He had a Cubs hat. His dad said this is a big, proud dad moment. WGN was big in New Mexico when he was a kid. So he watched a lot of Cubs games, man. So for him to be able to put on a Cubs uniform and just feel at home right off the rip, it's pretty cool. And, for me to have some kind of interaction with him has been pretty special because I used to cover LSU. I worked in Baton Rouge. So his former college coach, Paul Maneri, who's now the head coach at South Carolina, and we've been able to build a relationship over the years because Paul used to scout my summer league teams. I played with guys that played at Notre Dame for him. So he always knew that, the baseball IQ or the baseball acumen that I was able to put forth was sometimes worthy of just a little extra. So whenever I call Paul and say, hey, Paul, give me a few nuggets on Alex Bregman. He told me, he said, I've never been around a dude who likes baseball more than Alex Bregman. And that's pretty convincing. I mean, he coached at Air Force. He coached at Notre Dame. He coached at LSU. He won a national championship. Now he's the coach at South Carolina. So he's been around a lot of baseball players. So for him to pinpoint Alex Bregman and say how much he loves baseball and he's a fantastic teammate and all of his teammates are going to love him, that's exactly what you want to hear. And I think that's exactly what Cubs fans want to hear.
One of the kind of unsung and quiet things in all of this too has been the hiring of Craig Counsell. As you recall, it was in 24 when they brought him in to a lot of fanfare with the big contract.
I was at the house. I was watching on DVR. I was watching Price is Right. It was like 1 in the afternoon. I get a call. Hey, get in here. Craig Counsell's the new Cubs manager. I was like, huh? They're about to spin the wheel. They just got done playing Pinto. What's going on?
Well, and culture, as we talked about a moment ago with some of those folks at those programs, it's a big thing, right? Like you when you hear about kind of the winning programs around, whether it's college athletics and the pros, it starts and ends with the culture. Talk to me about what Craig Counsell has done to kind of get the culture where it's trending in the right direction.
Well, I think he's just an even keel guy. I think he knows that it's a marathon. It's not a sprint, as cliche as that sounds. I mean, there's 162 games. You can't get too high. You can't get too low because you have to go out there the next day and do the same thing all over again. And I think that's one thing that he's really been able to impart on this team is that, guys, like, if we play our best baseball, more times than not, we're going to win. And are there going to be clunkers? Will you have losses? Yeah. I don't think he takes those losses to heart as much as some managers, which is good. Sometimes I wish I had that ability. Like, when they lose a tough game, I'll walk out, I'll be salty. If you saw what our cameras look like in studio, like if they're not fit for TV, like, Cliff and I'll be in studio, they blow a lead, we'll be like, oh my, what is going on here? So I think the fact that he is even keel and he's always able to keep that same demeanor, I think that's what the Cubs look for. I think that guys feed off of that, whether it's Nico and Dansby up the middle, one of the smartest middle infields in all of baseball. I mean, you got a Vanderbilt guy at shortstop. You have a Stanford dude at second base. I mean, how much smarter can they get? So I think that they're always learning from a guy like Craig, also a cerebral kind of baseball player. He's a Notre Dame guy himself. So, I mean, that it's not like, not to disparage anyone who went to junior college because I'm a junior college guy, but he was never a JUCO dude. He was always that forward-thinking baseball player. So I think that's one of the things that he does bring to the table for these Cubs. And I think this year is World Series, I'm not saying that, but I do think there are at least 2 series postseason wins in this team.
So that's what I was going to ask you. So it's not a World Series or bust year per se, but it's hey, we won a playoff series. Let's kind of capitalize on that. Is that kind of the general vibe, if you will?
Sure. And I think that, I mean, it's not crazy to think that, they could go out there and they could win something, but you'd almost want to see just one more bat. I mean, the pitching is cool. You always want to see pitching because there are injuries that spring up. But you always want to you want to be able to just beat the brakes off of teams. And if you have one more big offensive punch, or maybe like the things I've seen so far from Matt Shaw down in Mesa have looked fantastic. And his second half, he had a lot of pop. And it looks like he's kind of eliminated some of that leg kick, which he did last year. He curtailed that a little bit as well. So if he's able to go out there and if he is that rover, if he's that guy that we all envisioned Willie Castro being last season when they acquired him from Minnesota in the trade, then maybe that'll be the X factor. Maybe he's going to be that guy who really puts his team over the top. We'll see, because you want that extra bat, but this is a formidable lineup. They're not going to be – pitchers aren't going to look and be like, okay, yeah, we'll just get right through there. No, it's going to be a briar patch. You're going to have trouble. And if Pete has a season like he had last year, and if he takes that next step forward, people are really going to be in trouble, especially with Michael Busch in the thick of that lineup, because I feel like he's the dude who really goes unnoticed. I mean, 34 home runs last year. He's a problem, man.
Cole Wright from Marquee Sports, also known as the home of the Cubs, joining us here for a few more minutes. One thing that stuck out to me is there's rumblings of a lineup shift with Suzuki set to move to right field to replace Kyle Tucker. Is there any kind of concern with that? I mean, because arm-wise, obviously, I mean, if you've seen, say, Suzuki just throw a ball, it's a problem. It's incredible. So I don't foresee that being the problem. But Wrigley's kind of a tough place to play because people forget a lot of day games. The shadows are a thing there. So any concern on kind of from anyone with that shift?
The one thing I would say to him, and I'd say to not just Seiya Suzuki, but any outfielder who plans on playing even one inning at Wrigley in right field, going to your left. Going to your left, man. There's pads on some of those bricks, but that brick wall jumps up on you quick, and there's about that much foul territory. So you got to make those plays. I mean, you got to, like, if you watch Pete, this dude's one of the best ever at being able to get to the wall, find the wall, and like I feel like there's a millimeter of cushion between Pete as he glides along that wall. It's like he knows exactly where it's at. He knows that ivy's going to give him just a little bit of cushion because behind that ivy, it's bricks.
Yeah.
And you bang into that, it's a problem. We saw Cody Bellinger when he was on the Cubs banged into that wall and broke a rib, man. It's like it didn't even look like it was anything really too alarming. And next thing you know, he's on the shelf. So I just think that wall in right field to the left of any right fielder can be problematic. And we saw that with Kyle Tucker. He didn't like going up against that wall. And it's not just him. It's not just Seiya Suzuki. There's a lot of dudes. Unless you get really comfortable there and have enough innings, it's a tough place to play, man. And it's a pitcher-friendly ballpark, so it gets swirly there. Everyone's like, oh, you can be able to hit bombs at Wrigley all day. I'm like, okay. Like, I've taken batting practice there before, and I like to think I can get up and out of most ballparks, at least in BP. And every time, warning track. And it's always like 42 degrees when they're like, hey, come take batting practice at Wrigley. I'm like, oh, yeah, this would be great. As you're freezing, it's 42 degrees with 17-mile-an-hour winds. So, but yeah, it's a tough place to hit, and we'll see that this year. And hopefully, it is a pitcher's park, and maybe if Zach Gallen lands in the Cubs' lap, then we'll see some of that pitching take shape.
Speaking of Kyle Tucker, I wanted to ask you from a Dodgers apologist perspective. Obviously, the Dodgers are stoked to have him. There's, we had Brandon Gomes on with Brad Foe a couple weeks ago or a few days ago, and they talked that kind of even the philosophy on hitting, stuff like that, it was a fit, right? Was Kyle Tucker ever a fit with the Cubs, even potentially kind of for the same, obviously the money would have been different, but the same amount of time for the Cubs, or was it just one of those, it was a one and done no matter what?
I mean, I don't know. I can't really say because I'm not across the street like Taylor McGregor or Elise Menaker. I just know when we do pregame shows, if we have to have Kyle Tucker on, he'd be there on time, ready to give us answers, and he'd be ready to talk baseball. So I can't really pinpoint if he was a fit or not. I mean, maybe you have to look at some of the numbers and say, was he a fit with this team, with this club? I mean, do those numbers suggest that he would be successful at Wrigley Field, which is a pitcher-friendly ballpark? I mean, I don't know. I think you'd probably have to ask some of the players as well. I mean, those are the guys that go out to show dinners. Those are the dudes who go golfing in spring training. I mean, how many trips did he go on with them? I couldn't tell you. I couldn't tell you if he went on one or if he went on every single one. So, being a fit, I feel like that's sometimes an outside perspective, because sometimes people will see and they'll say, oh, well, look at him. He doesn't look like he fits in with these guys. But when they leave, they are all buddies. They are all friends. So, like I said, I don't want to go out there and say one thing or another because I don't necessarily know. I mean, he went out there. He played as hard as he could from, everything that I saw, except for, a play or two. But the injuries were the thing that really got him. And I think that's one of the things that's hamstrung him his entire career. It's the injuries. I mean, is he as talented as a Mike Trout? No. Does he have that same injury propensity for injury like Mike Trout? Yes, which is not what you want to see. You'd love to see all these top flight players be healthy for 162 and give every team that they're on the best, because you want to see the best product on the field.
No, absolutely. And to your point, I think a lot of people like you said, they kind of look at it like, oh, is he a fit with the group of guys? And the dynamic is going to be very different in the clubhouse than it is from what you're going to see, like you said, unless you know they're going on those trips, they're going to those show dinners, things like that. And it's just something, it's an intangible, if you will, right? But we just don't know it because we're not in the clubhouse.
Well, it's almost like there's certain things. I mean, is he going to be that clubhouse leader? I don't think so. I don't think he has to be. I mean, maybe when it comes to taking guys out to dinner because he's getting paid more than everybody else, maybe they'll call on him for that. But I just think like the team leaders are Mookie Betts and Freddie Freeman and Shohei Ohtani. Shohei Ohtani reported 9 days early, and my boy was out there in a full Dodgers uniform. I don't know if you saw that tweet today.
I did. Yeah.
Like, all you have to do is be out there in shorts and running tights and in a dry fit. But he's ready to go. And I think some people will look at that like, oh, that's weird. Like, is it weird? Because he's locked in. And who's more locked in on baseball right now than Shohei Ohtani outside of Aaron Judge? Nobody. So, I got a picture of that ready. My daughter gets off of school. And when I pick her up, I'm going to be like, hey, look at this. He's
Lock
there early. He's ready to roll. Like, that's how you get better, man. Like, that's leaving no stone unturned is how players can continue to climb up the baseball ladder. And what we've seen from Shohei Ohtani, that's what it is. Will we see that from Kyle Tucker this season? I don't know. He's going to have a pretty potent lineup hitting around him. So he may be the beneficiary of seeing a lot of good pitches because other guys don't want to get pitched to.
We know that the NL East got better. They got, the Mets made some moves. The Phillies are just always going. It seems like they're just going to be a problem for a long time.
Yeah.
And then you throw in kind of the Brewers, even though the Brewers still moved on from Freddie Peralta, they're still a problem.
Crazy, man.
It's crazy, but it makes sense just because I think the way they looked at it is, hey, we're not going to be able to afford this guy, so let's get what we can now.
Something rather than nothing.
Yeah. But there's still a problem, right? That team is still a problem, top to bottom, culture, everything. The Cardinals moved on from Nolan Arenado, which I was a little surprised by, but I wasn't at the same time. But they're still making moves as well. And then you got the Pittsburgh Pirates. You got the Skeens effect out there, all that. Talk to me about the Central as far as kind of where you kind of, obviously it's early. It's very early. It's a marathon, 162 games, postseason, the whole thing. What do you kind of see the Central looking like as we kind of start the season and end the season?
Well, hopefully I see the Cubs as NL Central champions this year. That would be fantastic. The first division championship since 2020, which was obviously a COVID-shortened season. We know about that one. But I look around the division and I think that it should be the Cubs for the taking, which, be careful what you wish for because the Milwaukee Brewers, they're always going to find dudes that can come and play, whether it's a Quinn Priester or a Jacob Mizorowski. They're going to have arms. You know that. That's 100%. But, the one thing that I look at in the division, some of the turmoil that's going on in Pittsburgh right now. I don't know if you saw Andrew McCutchen, his tweet the other day, but he's like, did the Cardinals do this to Waino or Yachty? Did the Dodgers do this to Kershaw? It's like the way that they're not bringing him back in the fold. It's like I just wanted to shake the hand of a guy who was a fan since Clemente and people who cheered for me the whole time. It's like, how awesome would it be to bring Andrew McCutchen in and be that fourth outfielder and kind of show him the way, like have him show some of the young dudes the way and, just be the amount of knowledge that he can provide for Pete, would be unbelievable. I don't know. Maybe it's just a pipe dream right now, but that would be a pretty sweet pickup. I don't know what the financials look like on that. But if there's moves that can be made, that would be like last year's Justin Turner. If I'm not mistaken, Justin Turner made $9 million last year.
I believe you're right, yeah.
Not a whole bunch of production, but the production wasn't seen on the field. It was seen in the clubhouse. It was in the dugout, all the things that he brought to the table. So if Kutch can come over in that same role, that'd be pretty sweet.
I left the Reds out on purpose because the Reds were I don't want to say like in the same boat as the Cubs in the sense of like kind of, trending in that direction, but they are. They have a good nucleus of young guys. They have a good culture that's being built over there. Shout out to the homie Alex Pelaez, one of the hitting coaches over there. You got Tito Francona, who's one of the all-time greats.
He's good for at least 5 wins.
Oh yeah. Between the Brewers and the Reds, which of those do you kind of look like, okay, this is kind of the like every division has that team, right? The Dodgers in the NL West, Yankees, AL East, Orioles maybe this year, it's hard to say, but there's always kind of those problem teams in the division. Do you think it's the Reds or do you think it's the Brewers right now for the Cubs?
I feel like as a whole, it's the Brewers just because of what we've seen in the past. But in away games, it's the Reds because you add dudes with pop like Suarez. I mean, he's going back to Cincy. He's like, I'm going to hit 70 home runs this year, and that's a real thing. He's going to hit a lot of bombs because balls travel there. And I feel like when you're at Great American Ballpark, I feel like the Cubs, their back will be against the wall. So the one saving grace is that Ian Happ. I mean, he's the mayor of Cincinnati. He's like Mark Mallory throwing the first pitch out to Eric Davis, man. So
Right.
I just feel like he balls out in Pittsburgh and Cincinnati. So you're always going to have at least 1, 2, maybe 3 big games from him a year out there. I think the Reds are they're a problem team. Like I feel like last year Tito being there in this first year, I feel like that was kind of okay. Let's lay the blueprint out. Now they're actually putting those plans into play, and you're getting some dangerous dudes over there. And that ballpark, like I said, it's a very hitter friendly park. And if you have guys that are ready to put the ball in play and they run the bases well, there's going to be some high scoring ball games, man. So I think the Cubs, like that thorn in their side on the road is Cincinnati, but even when Milwaukee comes to town, they're gonna come here and they're gonna play. I mean, they're only 90 miles up the road, man.
As we kind of look around the NL, I'm curious. Is for you the class of the NL is it the defending champs, the Dodgers? Is that just kind of one and then everybody else?
Yeah, they are. I mean, look who they have. I mean, they've got a conglomerate of MVPs. I mean, you got Shohei Ohtani, Mookie Betts, Freddie Freeman. I mean, the list goes on. I mean, you look at all the. I mean, one dude I think who's going to have an unbelievable season this year is Andy Pages. Everyone's like, "Oh, Andy Pages, look at it. He was terrible." I'm like, in the postseason, yes, his bat was not there, but his defense has glove will travel. The dude made it to save the World Series. They took Tommy Edman out, and he made that play over Kike Hernandez. So if that play wouldn't have gotten made, it would have been a Blue Jays World Series championship. I just think that there's pieces to the puzzle. And another thing that makes them the cream of the crop, I mean, the Cubs is as well. I mean, the Cubs, they have that manager who's that even-keeled dude in Craig Counsell. Dave Roberts is that even-keeled dude, man. He's one of the nicest dudes you ever want to meet. He's a baseball junkie, and I feel like players love playing for him. When you have to interview him, you love interviewing him. So he's easy to be around, and I feel like that makes just everything that much easier to go out there and play ball. And for Kyle Tucker, not being the main attraction on that team is going to make life a whole lot easier on him.
When you look at the AL, and I'm asking you this because your kind of institutional knowledge of the game is upper echelon, and I feel like there's a lot of teams in the AL that are kind of just looked past, right? A great example is the Blue Jays last year. They were kind of looked past. No one really looked at the roster construction, and it was a well-built roster that could absolutely compete with anybody in the American League. But like you said earlier, baseball is still going to happen. I mean, let's not forget to use the World Series again. Game 7, the Blue Jays were 1 out away from winning the World Series. They had 2 outs. And the Dodgers still came back and won because baseball happened, right? That's just baseball's a funky game, just like golf. Like it's one of those where there's a lot of things you can't predict. Yeah. And so with that said, I mean, just like everyone wrote it up, everyone had the Blue Jays in the World Series against the Dodgers last year, right? In the American League, who kind of stands out to you as like, okay, if the Cubs are going to make a run, this is who we have to beat to kind of get over that hump?
Well, I mean, there's always the Yankees. I mean, when you have Aaron Judge, I mean, he's going to be that dude. And like you made mention of Baltimore. I mean, Baltimore's got Pete the Killer, and I think that's going to be like everyone's talking. Oh, the Mets. The Mets. I don't believe in the Mets until the Mets give me something to believe in. Like the last Mets team that I saw that was good had Darryl Strawberry and Dwight Gooden on them. So it's like the Mets. They continue to spend money, but I feel like they spend foolish money. Like. The only thing that's got me off of Juan Soto's deal right now and talking about how crazy that deal was is Kyle Tucker's deal. Because nobody is worth that amount of bread unless your name's Shohei Ohtani or some of the younger dudes that are on the come up. Like, I don't know. I feel like to put some of those financials in place, if you're not hitting 3 home runs, punching out 10 in the postseason, man, like what are we doing here? So I don't know. I feel like for the Mets to spend the money that they spent and allow Pete Alonso to go to Baltimore, I feel like the Orioles may be a force this year, man. I just feel like Pete Alonso's got some work to do. He's got some things to prove. So he's going to be on a mission. It's not always easy to say, well, yeah, he's got something to prove. It's a contract year. It's not a contract year for him. But people always say that. Like, well, he's going to put up big numbers because it's a contract year. I'm like, you idiot. If you think it's that easy to play baseball, where you can just be like, okay, yeah, I'm gonna be just average this year, but next year I'm going to try to get my money. I'm going to play my heart out. It doesn't work like that.
No.
Is it coincidental? Is it happenstance where guys go into contract years and have big years? Yes. But I don't think anyone takes a year or two off and then they re-ramp back up for a contract year. So Baltimore, that's a team that I expect to make some noise. And Seattle. It's just the one thing that hurts, though, is them not being able to bring Suarez back. I mean, at that price tag, I mean, you would think that the owner of Starbucks would have kicked in at least. I mean, that's a Seattle institution. You would hope that Geno Suarez was too.
Or Josh Naylor. Like, that was an interesting one too, where speaking of the Reds, like that one caught, I think, a few people by surprise because that's a pretty friendly deal. 1 year, 15, and you go to the Reds, and like for me, that was out of the Kyle Tucker deal. Obviously, when I saw the numbers, I was like, whoa! Like I had to do the Jimmy Butler meme, right? Like one of those. But then the Josh Naylor one, I was a little surprised as to what that is. Just a 1 year, $15 million. I was just so confused. I was like, how what? Like no one else wanted to kind of compete, and that's a quietly really good sign.
The dude stole 30 bases last year, and he runs backwards.
Yeah.
Essentially, you know what I'm saying? It's like, I mean, that just tells you what kind of baseball IQ this dude has. You see him on defense, he can pick it, he hits, he puts the ball in play. Like he's the kind of player I love, man. I like dudes who are baseball players. I don't like cats who are like, well, okay, we're going for OPS, we're going for slug. I'm like, okay, whatever. Like walks are cool when they come. I want a dude who's putting the ball in play and making noise, man. Josh Naylor's one of those dudes, and I feel like that's another reason why Cincinnati is going to be a problem. He can take you out of the park in the blink. So,
last thing before I set you loose, what is one hot take that you have for the 2026 baseball season?
Cade Horton is going to win the National League Cy Young Award.
Oh wow! Okay, all right.
No disrespect to my boy Drake Baldwin, but Drake. I mean, Cade Horton carved all season long, and for him to not get it, I think that's going to stack some logs on the fire. He's going to see all these dudes going to WBC. He's not going. I think that's going to really just soak those flames, man. So, Cade Horton, National League Cy Young. I said it. You heard it here first. So if you feel good about it, see what the odds are right now in Vegas.
All right. I mean,
I got another thing for you, man. You're active on social media,
of course.
Have you seen these banana, blueberry, egg, and what else he put in it? Banana, blueberry, egg, and peanut butter. These muffins. And like, oh, they're fantastic. They're delicious. Have you seen those?
Yeah.
They're not fantastic. They're not delicious. You can crack someone's skull with one of these things, man. Now, I used natural peanut butter yesterday because I'm like, oh, this would be good. It's supposed to be healthy muffins. Like, yeah, they'll be good. My daughter can have some of these before her workouts. Tastes like a doorstop. So maybe I used the wrong peanut butter. You need to go with good old-fashioned Jif, maybe Peter Pan. But either way, they're so misleading. The blueberries look so enticing. Like, oh man, they just kind of bled all over the muffin. And
what you should do is use those for batting practice with your daughter and just be like, hey.
You don't want to. I mean, these softball bats they're pretty pricey, and if you crack them, you have to wait. So I don't want the bat to crack using these things.
that's when you know it's not good. When you're worried that you're going to crack it.
There's bananas, there's blueberries, a lot of healthy stuff for him. So.
Except it's like biting into a rock. Apparently,
he might break his teeth for sure.
Yes. Well, my friend Cole Wright,
American bully, walking around with dentures in. That's my dog.
and if you ask why, he bit into a muffin.
Yep.
Into a healthy muffin, but a muffin nonetheless. Cole Wright, where can the people find you on the internet?
I'm on Twitter at Cole Wright, just plain and simple. And I do all the pre and post game shows for the Cubs. I do Bears post game. Obviously, the season's over, but next year hopefully we'll be ramping that back up again. So I'll be down in Arizona on the 15th. I get down there. I think I play a little round of golf, and then 14th, 15th, 16th, 17th, or the 16th, 17th, 18th, 19th. We have shows, Cubs 360, and then it's spring training games, ready to roll. So that's pretty much about it.
Find him, follow him. If you're a Cubs apologist, I'm sure you're already watching him on the Marquee Sports Network. But if you're not, do yourself a favor and watch him. Cole, thank you as always for the time, my friend. You're one of the best in the business. And this has been another episode of West Coast Bias here on Baseball Isn't Boring. If you're not following us on the socials, go follow us. Super simple. BB isn't boring. Baseball isn't boring across the board. Instagram, Twitter, the whole thing. Until next time, hey, maybe we'll chat about this when the Dodgers play the Cubs. And we'll catch up. But we'll catch you on the next one. And stay up, stay safe, and we'll chat soon, everyone.